What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the B3 podcast. I'm your host, Brett. I've got Matt GPT, and Jesus, it's bad over here.
Dude,
and old
food coma over here.
Tanner,
Matt, food coma.
back kid over here. We have our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at EliteNutritionOmaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. You can go to the store in Omaha or Lincoln, yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
We also have Rosewood
And
Block.
10% off. I guess I have to say
off.
both now. Fuck.
Well, it's been a week. We didn't do one last week, you know.
Weren't sure if you were still doing that.
We also have Rosewood Block to make the best cutting boards and barbecue, fully customizable. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off there. And we have D&D Beef. They're local to Omaha, but they ship nationwide. Check them out at dndbeef.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off.
I sent someone over there.
To D&D Beef, just
Yeah.
over to the ranch to stare at the cows?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
No, they were looking for like a half, and most farmers are done. You know, like most ranchers have already. I was like, but D&D Beef has it.
Yeah.
Like, go check them out.
Yeah, she's good people.
Yeah.
We have Omaha Barbell, home of next week's Ed Cohen Classic Super Meat.
You can use the log too.
Yeah, the
That
log's sitting in here.
Friggin'
We're
log
just
is
staring at
sweet.
it.
Yeah.
They're all staring at my log.
Yeah.
This one's not in the toilet.
Yeah, but come by, check it out. It's just $10 to get in. It's a good time. Ed'll be here, and the lightweight knockout champ Drew Dober will be here, hanging out.
Don't bring up any memes to Drew Dober while he's here.
No. But no, because Drew's always a good time. He loves talking to people. He signed a guy's
awesome.
prosthetic leg last time he was here.
Did he?
Yeah, yeah.
He went through like, I don't know if he went through every one of his knockouts. Like it was like an Instagram thing, but he went through like, I mean, some of them are just nasty.
Yeah, he's been really getting after his social media. So if you don't follow him, go follow him at Drew Dober. He does good. He's trying to give some good pointers out there. I mean, there's a reason he leads in knockouts.
Yeah, because he likes to punch people in the face.
Yes. But anyway, we got a special guest who's been in the background on a couple of podcasts, and he's been around forever. The man, the myth, Father Ross.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Honored to be on with you. So thanks again. And yeah, I remember Drew when he would train here. That kid worked hard. So I'm proud of all his success. So that's outstanding for him.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's worked his way up
Yeah.
through the professional fighting game. So.
I mean, it's funny because you can tell how old we are because we call him a kid and he's the old man in the lightweight division.
Yes.
They probably call him grandpa would be my guess.
Yes. Yeah, I remember when I first started training him, he was young.
Yeah.
Just fighting locally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Victory, right? Is that what it was?
Well, the first one wasn't even Victory. It was, what was that local?
Omaha Fight Club?
Omaha Fight Club.
Where you just randomly pick some dude out of the freaking...
Yeah, if you had gym shorts with you, you could fight.
Yeah.
Put him in there.
Tim Baser.
Yeah, Tim Baser ran it. And actually, funny, Drew's first fight was in my hometown.
Oh, over in Iowa, yeah.
Yeah, over in Harlan at the Veterans Memorial Auditorium.
Great state. Great auditorium. Great town. Great football and basketball teams we got over there. Yeah.
Oh, man. We're starting to get Tanner all riled up.
I did take my blood pressure medicine this morning, so I'll be okay.
Hey, remember, he had a heart attack. So
I know. He'll be all right. I give him less rights if he needs it.
Got nitro carried on me at all times, so I'm good.
Do you have some with you?
Yeah.
I was
I
going to
always
say,
have it.
because now that I remember, we have some here, too.
Yeah. You're just going to let me die because you had it. In the cabinet.
You asked for Tums, not nitro pills. There's two different things.
Yeah.
God, I can't solve everything for you. But, yeah, we've known Ross forever. He came to the gym shortly after we opened. It wasn't long after we opened.
Yeah, 2013, I came here when I got assigned to Corpus Christi Parish in Council Bluffs. I was looking for a gym and met Brett, and kind of rest was history. And I spent 2 years here, and just want to thank Brett for his generous hospitality and his friendship, and knew Matt for since then as well. And so, yeah, just enjoyed training here, and it was a good thing for me with the priesthood and everything to have a place to go and train and hang out with people. So it was a very good thing, and so enjoyed it, and just impressed by all the growth of the gym as well in the last, how long have you been open?
It's like 13 and a half
13
years.
years, yeah, great.
Ross was the first. I mean, I grew up Like my grandma was super Catholic. My mom, I went to a Catholic church. But you were the first priest I ever met that was like cool. Like you were like, you know what I mean? Like you're like our age, and he like Olympic lifted, and we all, you know what I mean? And it was different because you're used to seeing, you'd always just see, especially like maybe just small, you'd always see, you know, the Catholic priest was like 80 years old, and he's just up there doing his thing, and I'm sure they're cool too, but you never like put it together. And then you have, you know,
They were young once.
yes,
They were young once.
and you know, and
Now
it's,
we are old.
it's kind of cool. And I tell people, you know, I was like, you know, especially like friends of mine that I know are Catholic, I'm like, he's a good example of trying to, if kids are trying to go into the priesthood, you can still, I mean, you like to shoot guns, you smoke meats, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. I think people have a kind of a different perception, I think, of the priesthood.
Yeah, most of my work in priesthood has been as vocation director, and so that's basically working with young people who want to be either priests or nuns. And oftentimes they ask me, well, do I have to give up my hobbies because I want to be a nun or a priest? I'm like, absolutely not. If you love to sing, if you love to play guitar, if you like to play soccer, whatever you like to do, you can enjoy all those things. You know, we're not going to lock you in your room and, you know, make you study and pray 24 hours a day. You know, we want you to do those things that you enjoy. If you like to, you know, do art, whatever, you can enjoy those things in your life. And I think it makes you relatable to other people, and doing things that, you know, that you enjoy and that stimulate you are always good. And so, so you just find those hobbies and those passions that you have, and you can still enjoy them even as a priest. Obviously, you don't want them to become an idol that you're spending too much time on, but you can enjoy those things.
What made you decide? Because you weren't sold on the at first. That wasn't your initial idea, right? Was to go into the priesthood?
Yeah, the funny thing is, everyone thought my brother John Paul would be a priest, and he had a lot of virtues that you would say were very, that would lend themselves to the priesthood. But now he's married and has a little boy, Peter Francis, and then my uncle's a priest in Buffalo, New York, and then my grandmother's two first cousins were priests in our diocese, and they really inspired me as a young man. And also my parish priest. I went to public school, but I would get out of school for funerals, and Father would come pick me up in his Cadillac, and I get to miss school, get $5 and eat lunch. I'm like, this sounds pretty good.
great.
Yeah, I got it. Good.
I get behind this.
Yeah, Father, let's just take our time going back to school here, because
Right?
let's take this time. We'll spend some time at the burial there, and so I thought about it growing up, and then as I got older, really athletics became a big part of my life, and had a chance to play football in college and track and field in college, and still thought about the priesthood, but was really kind of leaning more towards maybe being married, and wasn't good enough to play in the NFL, so maybe coaching or teaching. And so after that, that's when I started the seminary, when I kind of thought, okay, that kind of call had kept coming back. That makes a long story short, but it was definitely kind of going between priesthood and obviously married life, and coaching or teaching were kind of the two options I thought about.
And then you did, because you studied in Rome
Yes.
for like a good chunk of years, or for
For a year.
okay.
I studied in Rome for a year, and then I studied at St. Margaret, which is in southern Indiana. That's basically between Evansville, Indiana, and Louisville, Kentucky. Then after I graduated from there and was ordained, that's when I came to Council Bluffs, and that's when I met you guys.
Oh, so you were fresh off the.
Yeah, I was newly ordained, yeah.
I got ordained
Brand new
online.
priest.
It was way shorter.
Yeah, 6 years versus the online program, Brett. Yeah.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
When he
And a
came back into
certificate.
town, I was like, we're like right here.
We're
Just
basically-
same level.
Even.
Reverend.
Lord.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you got to get your lordship in there too. You know, Tanner's got his.
Yeah.
Can't hang out with peasants.
No.
And then from there on, you were at St. Albert's. You went over to Des Moines area.
Yep.
Came back here for not even a full year, right?
Yeah, just about a year when I came back in 2022.
Yep.
Yep. Then in 2023, I became pastor of another neat story where I kind of grew up. My grandparents' parish, St. Mary in Elkhart, Iowa, which is northeast of Ankeny. And then I've been vocation director this whole time. And then I'm actually getting moved again. So in July, I'm going to another parish in Des Moines. And where I'll no longer be, for the first time in 9 years, I'll no longer be the vocation director, but I'll be the director of the seminary. And so the guys who are already in seminary, I'll kind of be in charge of those guys. Sorry if these words are not making sense to people. But
Oh, no.
yeah. Okay, yeah. And then I'll be pastor of a parish in Des Moines, St. Augustine's.
Okay, is that a large?
Yes, yeah, it's a nice parish. And another neat thing, my brother John Paul was talking about, and his wife and son are parishioners there, so that's pretty cool.
Oh,
Cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
So, and I know I've talked to you before when you were in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see some of the cool artifacts.
Yes,
And now Tanner has been just waiting.
sure.
But we've talked about this. We've done a couple different religious, like as
Sure.
far as some of the artifacts and how the things historically line up with some of the things that happen biblically. Because you've seen the cross, the wood from the cross, right?
Yep,
And the nails
yep,
and the crown of thorns,
yes.
but you haven't seen the shroud.
I have not seen the Shroud of Turin. I've never gone up that far to see Turin. I'd like, it's only displayed every so often. You can't just go and see it. There's only certain times you can go see when the shroud. I think the last time was maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Does it travel a lot?
No, you have to go see it at
Okay.
Turin. And then there's only certain times when you can actually go see it. Is my understanding.
The shroud's had a lot of news time lately.
They talked about basically the amount of energy that had to have been created to create the image, and it's just wild. Like, what were you saying? It was
What
like
did it say? It was like some like thousands of lightning.
It was like
tens of
nucle-
thousands
it was
of
like
lightning
nuclear.
bolt strikes to
yeah,
which was basically, which you can obviously tell what the shroud is.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think it's one of the, our faith is reasonable, but it doesn't rely on like artifacts or things. We still have to make that leap of faith, but sometimes like the thing like the shroud or things like that can kind of like help and bolster our faith. And okay, this is a reasonable thing. Science can't explain, the Shroud of Turin or, St. Januarius's blood liquefies every year. Someone who's been dead for, I don't know, 800 years. They shouldn't have liquid blood, but every year, miraculously, his blood liquefies. There are a lot of things that we can point to that are kind of miraculous things, but again, they're good things, but we don't have to, rely on them. But they're interesting, and they kind of help bolster and strengthen our faith. I think, like the shroud, St. Januarius.
You want to give kind of a rundown of what the shroud is?
Yeah, so the Shroud of Turin. So basically, our Lord was buried, and we know that, and obviously they put a napkin on his head and also a shroud around his body. Basically, obviously, when the apostles and St. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to the tomb, they found the tomb empty, and they found his burial cloths there, and so that's where the shroud, we believe, probably came from. Obviously, the shroud is, like Tanner said, basically unexplainable by science. The amount of energy that would have to have gotten into the shroud that buried our Lord, that was over his body. And so it's basically a perfect outline of his body, kind of laying in a tomb, kind of like this. And that's what you can see when you see the shroud. And so, again, science has not been able to explain, how that could have happened. And so it's a very interesting artifact that we have of, you don't have to believe it, but, could be the Lord's, burial cloth and things like that. So, again, very interesting artifact that we have.
The blood one, I haven't heard of that one, I guess.
Yeah, St. Januarius, his blood liquefies every year.
So where's that at? How's that like?
So they go to the basilica every year, and they have his blood in a vial, and basically his blood will liquefy each year, which is impossible, or, again, you've been dead for that long, so it's a miracle every year that it does that. And then we have incorrupt saints, so those saints who have by their holiness of life, they basically don't undergo the same decomposition of other people. I've seen many incorrupt saints over the years who have died, again, Middle Ages, whose bodies are still intact and things like that. So So yeah, again, really good points and very holy people.
And what do you think about stuff like the Noah's Ark stuff they think they found?
Well, good question about Noah's Ark. We haven't found it. Some people think it's on Mount Ararat, and am I saying that right? In Turkey.
That's one of showing the outline of it, right?
Yeah,
I think it's the outline. And they've done some of the aerial,
The LiDAR
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen much evidence of Noah's Ark, or if we found it, but it wouldn't change my faith if they did or didn't find it. So.
Do you think it would change the world's perception of faith?
Could, yeah. I think, yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah. Here we found an artifact, or if they found the Ark of the Covenant, I think probably the Ark of the Covenant probably would be more influential to people's faith in the Ark.
Well, I know where it's at, so
Do you?
yeah.
It's in Africa, isn't it?
Ethiopia?
Ethiopia, you think it's in there with the monks?
With the Jewish monks,
It's possible.
They do get that weird. They go blind and they all die.
cataracts. Yeah.
I don't know. Till we see it, we don't know. Yeah.
And then getting it open because you can't touch it, right?
If you know what it is, you can't touch it.
Yeah, shouldn't unless you've been. Man, that gets into a whole lot of like Jewish theology that I'm not real.
Well, because it's basically like a time
Tanner
capsule,
is.
right? Basically,
Okay.
It's basically
Yeah.
a time capsule, right? It's got like
Like a Volkswagen.
No, it has like the manna from the desert. It has the Ten Commandments, the Decalogue, and a few other things.
so kind of like a historical time capsule.
Yes,
thing.
yeah. The manna, the Decalogue, and yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Tanner.
yeah.
I know you've been waiting.
Good boy, Tanner.
Well, I mean, I do think I think it's in Ethiopia. It makes sense actually to me. The first Bible is an Ethiopian Bible. Well, the Ethiopian Bible predates the King James version.
Well, the King James version was like written in the I think 15 or 1600s.
Yeah.
So
Because what about the Dead Sea Scrolls? Weren't theirs BC, but they are
Yes.
almost 95% in line with.
Some of them are.
yeah. So the Dead Sea Scrolls were, I think, discovered in the 1950s, right? 1940s. But I think they were, I think they were after a lot of the Bible. The Bible as a canon came together over many, many years. So that's why there's some books that we have in the Bible and some books that we don't have in the Bible. And so even the Protestant and Catholic Bibles are different. We have different books.
You have more. Catholic
we
has
have
more.
more. Yeah, we have what's called the Deuterocanonical books. It's just a lot of stuff. But there are, I think, the most ancient writings of the gospel, I think, are about that we have copies of are about maybe 200 years after the death of Christ. I think the Dead Sea Scrolls were written after that. That's my understanding.
Some of them were written before. Some of them date 500 BC.
And they found them. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
There's a mixture.
But they match up, I think, right? The stories are very similar.
I think it was Peter that is word for word still the same. Like I maybe
Some of the books are, they're transcribed over to be the same.
not only were through all the they have never been changed, which to me shows the validity. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we've talked about that day. I just think when you take a story that you have 20 different people that have a very similar story, it's probably not that far off then.
Well, so in hearing you talk, and I don't let me put words in your mouth. So I'm a person who went through a lot of different, I have studied different religions. I have had different thoughts. I have always come back to Christianity, but I've veered like questioning it, challenging it. And so some of these things, when I find them, I guess, give me proof or at least mental, maybe it makes more logical sense, Maybe, but I feel like like in hearing you speak, you don't need the logical.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So does it like offend you that someone needs a logical, or do you think like I just need to just accept it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Now would that go into the same? Sorry, would that go into the same as someone who believes or doesn't believe? Or I kind of throwing those in the same thing.
Well, so when I was hearing you talking, I just some of the you're like, yes, there are these things that can prove, but I don't need proof because I already have belief. I already have faith. I already know.
Yeah.
So like they're fine to have, but they're not needed.
Yeah.
And then more of my journey, I would guess, would be like, yes, I had faith, but then like I would challenge it, and then I would like need proof, or I mean, whether it's proof or like I've never seen God, like I've never been that, but I don't know.
That's what I love about being Catholic. We believe that faith and reason go together. So our faith is reasonable. It makes sense. We have the 5 proofs of God's existence. We can reasonably explain things from obviously philosophy, science, and religion work together in our faith. So I think that's the best thing. Is that again, it's reasonable, but I don't need an external thing to it's great. We have these things. We have all these things, like I was talking about, the Shroud of Turin, Saint Generius, Incorruptible Saints. Wonderful. But at some point, you also have to make a decision that my will, I'm going to follow the Lord. I have to make a decision in my will that's the truth. And so, but the truth has to be reasonable. So that's the main thing, I think, is that that our faith, St. John Paul II wrote a beautiful encyclical called Fides et Ratio. That means faith and reason. So faith and reason work together. And even science, So the more we explore scientific discoveries, as long as they're not antithetical to our faith, we can incorporate those things in our faith as well. And so, so I think it all works together, trying to find truth. So that's good, Tanner. So, okay. So some people really question, or like if your faith is like at a second grade level, you're never going to grow, So it sounds like you're someone who's trying to, find what's the truth? You're like a truth seeker. You're trying to find those things, and so you have to have evidence. So yeah, fair enough. And some people need that. Absolutely, yeah, it's good.
When you were, you had said something about idol worship, and I was actually like looking at this a little bit more recently. What would define, I guess, an idol? Because I think that when we say idol worship, I think a lot of people go back to like Greek stuff or statues or something like that. But like I've come more, I think, to the like belief that like money's an idol.
Yeah.
There like it doesn't have to be. I guess maybe I just was naive growing up, but I always thought like an idol was like the Buddha or like like some statue or Thor or whatever.
Right.
But I think it has more to do with what you value more than God.
Exactly.
Okay.
So anything you put in front of the Lord would be an idol. Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
False idols.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
okay.
Now, when you talk about the 5 proofs, like for the Catholic religion, what do you consider?
So the 5 proofs of God's existence, that we can come from reason, and so obviously something cannot come from nothing. So you have to have. So let's say like the Big Bang. Okay, probably believe that that our universe was created from some great event, what we would call the Big Bang, and so something has to start that. It can't come from nothing. You can't have creation come from nothing. So there has to be some spark, something that starts that. So that's one of the good proofs. Obviously. Being necessary beings, that we have beings that are humans, that are us, obviously, and that we're not God. So we are necessary beings, and so we have to come from something. Man, you're testing my natural theology stuff. There's 3 other. You can look them up. So the reasons of existence from God that come from Saint Anselm and Saint Thomas Aquinas are the But you can look those up. Sorry, I can't think of them all right now. But necessary being,
We got Matt GPT over here.
All
He's
right.
on it.
Working on
look
it.
it up.
Come on,
Carry
Jamie.
on.
So do you like, so there's a lot of, I don't know if it's the podcast generation, the AI. I feel like there's a lot more ability to research and question and get different points of view than there ever has been. Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's good. Do you like the diving into theology? Like it's changed, I feel like it's changed a lot in the last decade. Like there's a lot of more, like you can have whole podcasts that are just dedicated to things to do with theology, or at least they touch on it a lot. I just heard a theory the other day that there could be basically an infinite amount of time between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's no time limit in there.
Right.
So what's that called?
What are you talking about?
Like the long Earth theory.
Oh, we're talking about like the age of the Earth.
Because if we genealogy go back with like the Bible, like it's 6,500 years old or whatever. Like if we go back to Adam through the line, right? But with some of these other people diving into it, it's like, well, no, like there could be an infinite amount of time between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. It could be 30 million years. It could be a billion years. Like you have there's no time frame here.
Right.
So do you like that stuff, or do you think it distracts from what people should actually, do you think it distracts from faith, or do you think it's fine to?
No, I think it's good as long as you're listening to good people. I think a lot of what you're touching on kind of came from, the new atheists really got really popular, like Sam Harris, people like that. And now we're seeing like a reaction, like Jordan Peterson, people like that, really, Bishop Robert Barron, other people in the podcast space have, I think, made faith, again, reasonable and interesting. And so, I think it's good. You have to kind of be careful and kind of listen to things with a spirit of discernment, because not everything has, the right perspective, but I think I'm glad people are having the debate. Yeah. So, but the thing I think to remember about the Bible is that, it's not a science book, so it's not explaining, days or weeks or months and the exact time. And so, scientifically, the Earth is probably, I think, 6 billion years old. And so, again, that doesn't, affect my faith that it's not 6,000 years old. And so, again, it's a book that's helping us to find truth and to find what's true about our Lord and about people. And so it's not a science book, but it's a book about truth, And so sometimes we can use biblical or literary things, literary constructs to explain truths that are not like literally always true, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think that's where growing up, I've just always been like logical looking, like you said, like truth seeker, but I want to know why, or if something doesn't make sense. And I think I think you have these like gotcha points from people who want to say the Bible's not true. Right. And then they have, they only think the Earth is 6,000. And I think you do have a point that there's been some attack on the Bible, and now there's a whole bunch of people who can talk back. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They can't just talk. They don't have to talk to just their congregation. Right. They can talk to millions of people on a podcast or whatnot. They go on Rogan. Yeah. Who's the guy that was on Rogan? He's really good. I was just trying to look him up. He has a YouTube thing about like the accuracy of the Bible. And he's very good at determining, and he has an explanation, which sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't agree with him, but about how he can tell whether, he's a linguist, how he can tell whether a book, so like the book of Judas, that is not canonized, but that has been found in the Dead Sea Scrolls and found in other places, how that wasn't, the reason it wasn't canonized, it wasn't first person, and it wasn't someone who was around, and he could tell it was written, at 500 AD in Egypt and not, you know, around with Jesus. And he can tell that because of the names that are used that aren't Jesus, right? So like you can have Jesus and Mary, but then all the other names would be common names for Egypt at 500 AD, not common names for, you know, Jerusalem or like in the other areas. So he does a really good job. And I guess it's the clapback, you know, going back and saying, well, so Genesis 1 to 2, well, there could be 4 billion years there. So there you go. The earth can be 4 billion years old. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, something can't come from nothing. Something had to start. What?
100%.
Yeah. What? That's my take on
Well, that's
I
what
got your 5 ways here.
shoot.
So the unmoved mover.
Yep. That's
So everything in motion was set in motion by something else. You can't have an infinite chain of movers, so there must be a first mover
right.
that was never moved. The first cause. Same logic applied to causation. Everything has a cause, but you can't trace causes back infinitely. There must be an uncaused first cause.
Right.
Then contingency. Everything that exists could not exist if everything were contingent. At some point, nothing would exist. Since things do exist, something must exist necessarily and eternally on its own. Degrees of perfection. We observe things being more or less good, true, noble, etc. Those graduations only make sense if there's a maximum standard they're measured against, a most perfect being. And the teleological argument.
Yep.
Teleological argument. The things in nature that lack intelligence still act toward an end purpose. Like an arrow needs an archer, something must be directing them.
Wesley Huff was who I was trying to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him on. Didn't watch the whole thing. Maybe Sean Ryan. Someone.
Yep.
Okay.
He was on
yeah.
Sean Ryan. That was a good one.
He's really good. So one of my so the Book of Enoch is like annoys me that it's not, I guess, taken more seriously because I don't think, well, like even in just like Genesis 6, like you can't get to Genesis 6 without understanding Enoch because they talk about Nephilim in Genesis 6 and there's no reference to what that is without Enoch, which talks about why, like the Nephilim, the Watchers, like why it all happened. So that's where, and then it's quoted in the New and Old Testament. But his point was it wasn't first person. That they did find a very old, because that's part of the Dead Sea Scrolls, that they found something that was like 500 BC. So it was well before, but it wasn't, he didn't write it, and it wasn't someone directly with him that did. So that's why it's not. But there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that makes no sense without reference to it.
Boy, so that's a lot. That's a lot to talk about.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I'm not super familiar with the Book of Enoch, number one. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Again, there's a lot of, and I preached about during Easter, there's a lot of beautiful stories that are outside of the canon of the Bible that I think are, that a lot of the early Christians and also Jewish people had access to. So I think those are good stories. They're good things for us to look at. But there's I think again good reason why we have the canon of the Bible that we have now. There's good, some very beautiful books like the Book of Enoch were left out for I think good reason. So those are again great stories. We should just like any great thing, we should read it and become aware of it, and it's good stuff. But again, it's not canonical. But again, I'm glad you're interested in that. So it's interesting stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think, part of my interest is it feels like the only religion in this country that can be criticized is Christianity. Mm-hmm. It's the only one that's allowed to be criticized. Mm-hmm. Christianity and Catholic, mm-hmm. they can be criticized. Nothing else can. Mm-hmm. And then you go back and it's like, well, what about the Catholic? Why am I drawing the blank on this? The raids. What am I talking about?
Oh, you're talking about like the Crusades?
The Crusades. Yeah. I'm like losing simple words right now. Like the Crusades. So like, I'm like, well, like the reason for the Crusades is because Islam was taking over the entire region.
Right.
And they were murdering people if you weren't going to like be part of it.
Right.
They were labeling Christians and Jews to make sure that they were less than the people of Islam. And basically it was the last, and I can't remember what the last battle to come back was, but it was basically the last place where that wasn't taking over.
Right.
And then, yes, they came back. And I'm not saying that everything they did was great, but it definitely wasn't unprovoked.
Right.
So, but like when you talk about the Crusades, it's like, oh, well, it's all, look, they killed people named Christian. And well, no, you don't even know how it started then.
Right.
And that's part of, I guess, part of my faith is almost like I was just annoyed at first that people like, even when I wasn't, I would say Christian, like you can't just attack Christian. Like you can't, like you have to be able to attack everybody. You can't just pick on, you know, and I find like that stuff like super aggravating. Then like diving into it more, like once again, my faith has been like this. I always come back. Like I've never not believed in Jesus. I guess part of my issue is like sometimes I have a problem with the church. I have a problem with organized religion. I have a problem with what I feel is a watered down version of Christianity currently that seems to be, I don't know, mainstreamed, like made easier for people to believe instead of like what I feel like it really is. I don't know. I don't ever have a question of Jesus. I just have sometimes a question of messages being delivered or
the methods.
Yeah, methods, you know, like I don't think we have to water it down. I don't think it's always rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, I think being a Christian is really hard. If we actually, you know, live what we believe, I think being a Christian is very difficult, you know. So that's on the person to live up to the witness and the message of our Lord. And but I think like with institutions, you know, there's no perfect institution. You know, like I tell people, you know, the Catholic Church has survived for over 2,000 years, and if you know some of the people inside of the church, you know, it would shock you that we've made it this long. But so that's basically that the Holy Spirit is real. You know, that we're the only human the only institution that has been able to survive, you know, for over 2,000 years. So there must be some reasonable explanation, you know, for that. So, but yeah, I think being a Christian is hard. And I think, yeah, the more we learn about, you know, our faith or things like that, like the Crusades, like you mentioned, that there was reasons why they were defensive. Yeah, we had to do that because it was people were getting murdered and everything else. So it's a terrible situation.
Well, it's not to say that everything I'm not saying everything was perfect on one side.
Right.
I'm just saying we can criticize both.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, plenty of religions have killed people.
Anything, yeah.
Well, it's just like we've all heard the story with Jesus and prostitutes, like, you know, thou like was going to be stoned, and, you know, thou without sin cast the first stone, right? And then, but like no one talks about the second part where he goes up and tells her like quit being a whore. You know, like it's not just about forgiveness and acceptance. It's also about truth and loving somebody enough to tell them they're wrong.
Right.
And I feel like modern Christianity, or maybe it's not even modern Christianity, it's just like, no, it's just, we got to forgive. You got to accept. Well, no, you accept them for who they are and let them know they're wrong. If you don't do that part, you're not helping them. But it's like the first part is what everyone wants to talk about instead of the truth part. And there's always truth with Jesus. Jesus always speaks truth, even with forgiveness and acceptance. He's not accepting you to keep doing it. He's accepting for what you've done. Yeah. Like there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of people look at like just some of these main stories, you know, and main different quotes from the Bible, and they have this, it's all, like you said, it's all like rainbows and butterflies. But their Bible's got some pretty aggressive quotes in there.
Yes.
Like there's like a lot of quotes about laziness and stuff like that. Like, the man without an axe should sell his clothes and buy an axe. There's one like a little sheep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Poverty will come on you like a thief. I mean, like if you don't work, you're going to be poor. Like there's some like real savage quotes in the Bible that like,
Yeah.
it's not just about like, you should just love everybody. And there's a lot of truth and like things that are in there.
I have no, like, I do believe the difference between Christianity and most other religions, past or present, is the love aspect. I do believe that's the difference, but I think people forget about the truth aspect that comes along with love.
Yeah.
Like if you love somebody enough, you should be able to tell them the truth.
Right.
Right? Like that's, I think we forget that part. And that's one of the things that.
But what's your definition of love?
Caring, well, it was more like caring about the well-being of somebody.
Yeah. What I would say, love or charity, as a theological virtue, we would say is to will the good of the other. So I will your good. I will what's good for you. And so truth is an aspect of that.
Like hope for the best kind of a thing.
I will your good. So I want what's good for you. So what's the highest good for you is so I will the good of the other as others. So that's true love. That's true charity. So we always have to go, okay, so the truth without love can oftentimes become violence to somebody, but the love without truth can devolve into sentimentality. And so I think the beautiful thing about Christianity is that we blend love and truth together. And again, like you said, Tanner, I forgive you, but our Lord says, go and sin no more. You know, he told the lady caught in adultery, you know, go and sin no more. That was the last message he said to her. And so, yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about, I think, Christianity is that blending of love and truth together. And you know, we accept all, but on Christ's terms. So that involves change. I have to change because our Lord has told us to do that. So that's what makes being a Christian hard, I think. But
Now, kind of on the love thing, I don't like necessarily question the idea, but right. So when Jesus came, basically the Old Testament went out the window.
That's a heresy called Marcionism. So we still believe in
You heretic.
Yeah, we believe in the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Get the
Old Testament, yeah.
Burn the heretic.
Yeah. The Old Testament also points to Jesus. Yeah.
Well,
Because it was in the New Testament, the new set of rules, though.
Yeah, but so we have the Decalogue. So so we have the Decalogue that was given to Moses on the mountain, and Jesus has his Sermon on the Mount. And so I would say that the moral law by our Lord was definitely heightened, you know. So yeah, we don't throw it out the window. We still believe in the Ten Commandments. But
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the Ten Commandments
Yeah.
go out, and this the idea of live the life of Jesus, which was just to love one another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why that was my question. Not that I
Yeah.
was questioning, but did it go out with that? You know what I mean?
I think they pair together, and I don't think you have one without the other.
Because
can't,
like
yeah,
a lot of
'cause again, that
Leviticus
goes-
stuff, like you don't necessarily follow Leviticus.
Right. Great point. Yeah. So you're right. So we don't follow the 613 Jewish ritual purity laws.
Or we all get stoned right
yeah,
now.
we're all getting stoned right now. So
So
we don't.
now, from the outside
You're right.
looking
Yeah,
in,
okay.
doesn't it look like you're, like I said, from the outside, like I grew up Catholic Christian,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but does it make it look like you're cherry picking the rules you want to follow? If you don't take out the, you're like, well, we follow part of the Old Testament. Well, except Leviticus because we didn't like all those rules. So that's why I always thought that,
Well-
and obviously I was wrong, but that's why I always thought when Jesus came, the Old Testament kind of went out the window, and Jesus in the New Testament were the new kind of law of the land, which was live the way Jesus would live, which was to love one another.
Yeah, but even we don't have to follow those ritual purity laws because that's what our Lord revealed. Like he said that all foods were clean, basically now. You know, so.
And then he's kind of said, basically, will take on your sins.
Yes, but the moral law became, I would think, more difficult, like to love your enemy.
So that's what I meant. Like, so
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
if he's like taking on your sins, does that negate like the Ten Commandments? But you should still live a life of love like Jesus.
It doesn't negate the Ten Commandments. You should
Okay.
still follow the Ten Commandments.
Can't murder people.
Yeah.
Well, not that I'm out here just like laying it down, but like
yeah.
it's just because. But you know where the confusion kind
These are
of.
good questions. These are really good questions.
But you kind of
Yeah.
know what I mean by the confusion of that because you're like,
Yeah, I get it.
Well,
Yeah.
and actually, like to your point, that's the kind of stuff I would say before. Well, you're wearing cloths of you're wearing clothes with
Right.
two different cloths, so you should be stoned.
Exactly.
You know, and that's actually those kind of thoughts. Like, okay, well, go back, like, why was this? And a lot of it was, cultural, or
Yeah.
things changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the kind of things I was like. The first time I read the Bible was literally so I could argue it. I did not read it to believe in it. I read it because I felt like it was being used as a weapon. And that's still what I still believe, that the Bible is used as a weapon. I believe that Ted Cruz tries to use the Bible as a weapon. I believe politicians pull shit out of there as a weapon. I believe it's used on podcasts as a weapon. They forget. They talk about like revelations here, and well, yeah, read one page ahead. Like, read the next page, because there's two different contexts here. And so, like I said, the first time I read it was to fight it, was to argue it. But it's those points that I was always going after. Like, well, this doesn't make sense. The Earth isn't 6,500 years old. We grow crops next to each other. Like,
And that's why I said, like, people will
points.
be, and I see like where people come like, well, you're kind of cherry picking. And it's kind of like when people would say, well, I've heard the theories where people are like, well, the Bible was put together by affluent people, and they left out books that they didn't think would profit them or help them in a certain way.
Sure.
So then, what do you, as someone in your position, say to someone like who is either like new to or is not a believer, like an atheist, or do you just say that's your thing and it's your cross or whatever, or do you like say you're an idiot, or I mean?
Well, I would never call anyone
know,
an
but-
idiot, So I would say is like, I think the main thing is like, seek the truth and seek what's, don't be afraid to, don't just take someone like Sam Harris who speaks out against, he's like not the gospel, like seek the truth, go beyond that. Very, a lot of people's religious education kind of ends at 8th grade, and so it's like, there's so much to learn, immerse yourself in the truth, learn as much as you can. And oftentimes, a lot of people, when they do that, when they're really honest with themselves, they will come back to some type of faith, and oftentimes think that like the beautiful thing, the way of beauty really draws people back to God. Beautiful literature. I'm reading right now The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. He's one of my favorite authors. If you read The Brothers Karamazov, that's probably the best thing you could ever read about about evil. So it's Ivan and his brother is an atheist, and they have this debate about the reality of evil, and I think it's the best thing ever written. So a lot of times people can come to the truth through beauty, art, music, things like that. Again, oftentimes that can be inspiring for people that if you go to Europe, it's almost unimaginable that someone could build a cathedral, start it. They know that they would never see it in their lifetime, but they did that for the glory of the Lord. And so I think, to seek the true, the good, and the beautiful, that's the way to find the Lord. But I would just tell people not to give up and keep asking questions, because that's how you grow. You grow by asking questions, and I think that's totally fair. So,
Got questions, Matt?
Nope.
Well, like when people talk about evolution,
Yes.
right, and the Big Bang Theory, well, like your entire premise starts with a miracle.
Yeah.
That something came from nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, what miracle is harder to believe?
Yeah.
That, and then also, if you just go back to human evolution, we don't have a good explanation for the traditional evolutionary. We came from monkeys. Like,
Yeah.
there is not a good explanation for that.
Yeah.
There is not a good explanation for the giant jumps that were made in short times. That going historically, there's not a good explanation. Like if your explanation was aliens came down and used CRISPR technology to make humans, would be more believable than we came just from monkeys. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So creation makes more sense, and that's what I find funny, is that some of the most brilliant minds that have ever existed have denied God up until they were done, and they're like, there has to be a God because I can't give you another explanation.
Yeah, and now it's kind of it's gone into like trying to explain the world through a multiverse instead of so like the Cambrian explosion, we can't explain that. We can't explain DNA. You know that the I did a really when I was newly ordained, I went to a conference at Notre Dame about science, and it blew my mind. Basically, the chances of me sitting here right now at 3:08 on May 8th to pick up this cup like this, basically, so you have to go all the way back, that's a material cause, all the way back. Basically, the chances of that happening, you couldn't even fit the number in the universe.
No.
You couldn't, so it's like, so I think that takes a lot of faith to believe that that could be real, that this is, that we could trace everything back from whatever, however the world was created in the multiverse to me picking this up. That would be astronomically improbable, I would think. But again,
Well, each one of our lives are improbable.
yeah.
It's not probable. The probability of us existing is 1 in, like, make the number as long as you can. That's what it is.
Yeah, you can't. That stuck out to me at that conference. Like, you can't fit that number in the universe. Is how improbable that we're sitting on this planet right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even how big space is. It's unbelievable.
Well, take out space. How big the ocean is. Let's just talk about the planet. There's like so much stuff in the ocean that we've never even seen.
Well, I think the deepest part of the ocean they think is, a couple miles deep, and we've never been there.
Yeah.
Would crush your submersible.
Well, and the closest star that's not our sun is 25 trillion miles away.
Right.
You can't even fathom how far that is away.
I read one day, even by light years, like it's almost unimaginable just by traveling by light years how long it would take to get there, like in human years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Now, Matt, where are you at on this? We've had talks before.
I'm the same. Like, I don't have a faith in God, but I don't. Oftentimes what it's positioned is, well, if it's not this, then what's your answer? And I don't think I don't have to give a reason or say, oh, I think it's this. I can just say, I don't think it's that. I would classify you more as agnostic versus atheist. I probably teeter on that. And I think, like, I like the idea of it, but I don't. I guess the part where I would say I differentiate if I go down the agnostic route is someone who, like, a entity that is positioned and built like the God, like the Catholic God or the Jewish God, with like, and maybe it's just us trying to understand and giving like human-ish qualities to an entity. But I don't think it's a person, for a lack of a better.
I actually 100% agree with you. We have to give it some kind of human.
Yeah.
Like that humans do it. Like we have to, whatever gold roads. I don't think like that's.
I assume like my dog just thinks it's like a dog. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, like one of the explanations that I've heard is like so we know that like unborn child dreams. We know that their brain works and that they dream. Okay. But they cannot possibly dream about this
because they've never seen it.
They've never seen it. They may be their thumb may be their friend, right? They're dreaming or their brain's working within where they're at, but they have no clue and they can't possibly know of this. They can't know your face. They can't know we exist because that's where they're at. And I believe that's heaven and God. That we can say he and we can have whatever and whatever, but that doesn't to not be like that's just. I think that's a human reaction to have something in your brain that you can just correlate. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be an old white man with a freaking long white beard. Like it doesn't have that doesn't have to be the case.
You look very intrigued, Ross.
Mm-hmm. Well, as a Catholic, we believe that the second person of the Trinity, the Word became flesh and became Jesus. So Jesus took on our humanity. So there is a human face of the second person of the Trinity is Christ. That's what we believe. But yeah, God is incomprehensible. So again, we are finite beings and God is infinite. So we always kind of grasp at things, but we can't understand. Even I think like heaven, you're contemplating the mystery of God, which is infinite. And so you'll never quite know God as he is because you can't comprehend it, but you can always grow in that love of the beatific vision and in loving God and knowing him more and more. But that journey never ends, even on the other side of eternity, I think. But interesting things to think about. But
well, I think if God wanted to speak to us, he would speak to us in our form. And we are somewhat in his form as we're created in his image. Right? But I don't know. I actually just don't think that part's important. Like I don't believe what God looks like is important. It doesn't it doesn't affect. I know what you're saying though, but you can't put your finger on it.
Kind of, but it's just I don't think so. From my view, it's like just because we don't know, like doesn't mean we have to come up with an answer. Like we can just be like, I don't know yet. And I think like as we've gone, we've discovered a lot of stuff that we thought was impossible, and we're like, oh, it's got to be this, and then we change our minds and stuff. So I think there's still a lot of stuff for us to learn, and I don't have the faith in a God to be like, oh, this, and I also don't feel like I'm unwhole for that. Like I don't feel like I'm missing something that I'm like, oh, I need this to like fill a gap in me.
I do believe the world works better with a God.
Now, what are your thoughts to what Matt said?
Yeah, he's on his own personal journey. I love the guy personally and like him.
And that's what I mean, I give him a hard time, but
I don't think any less of him because he believes. Doesn't change my opinion of him at all. Fair enough. That's what he believes. Yeah, no issue.
So if you have, with what you do, have someone that comes to you like that is that kind of, or do you try to move them towards? You know what I mean? Not that you know what I mean. Not that you're trying to. I guess I don't sway, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, because to witness, to show them the. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
I get what you mean. Yeah, young man came to me. I've known him for a long time, and he was struggling with his faith, and I just kind of challenged him. I'm like, we need to learn more about it, you know. And so as you learn more about it, I think you'll kind of grow. But I'm not gonna like shun you, or I don't think any less of you because you're having this struggle. I go, you know, I want you to like really be really learn about it. So like challenge yourself to like, okay, dig into this a little bit more and you know, and challenge yourself. But I'm not gonna like, I don't think any less of you or things like, because you're asking questions. And I think too, like we grow more when we ask questions.
I think that's just in life in general.
When we ask questions, I think we grow a lot more. And so just with that one young man, he's now come back to church the last 3 weeks. And so, yeah.
Well, I think it's like the case for Christ.
Sure.
You know, it's like you set out to prove Jesus wrong,
Right.
and to prove it as not true, and then proved it that to him that he proved it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have that. Unfortunately, I just think a lot of people don't care enough to question it. And I guess my thing would be just do what I did: read the Bible to prove it wrong. Like, tell me where it's wrong at. Because I know where I would say it's wrong at because I did.
Yeah.
And then I learned more and I'm like, oh, but no, I was, you know, like there's some literal things in there that take a little bit more diving into. And I think what you said earlier, there's other pieces that aren't in the Bible that can help with reference points that are books around it, that are books of the time, that are books of modern time that can help explain some things that are missing. There are things that could be missing. But the main thing is I think there has to be a care to know one way or another. And if you do care enough, I think you'll ask enough questions to make a final decision.
Yeah. Just keep asking questions. Like, don't I don't think anything less people. But if people have questions, I try to answer them the best of my ability. If I don't know, and too, I don't know everything. So,
Can you read Hebrew?
No, I took Greek and Latin, but I never took Hebrew.
So that's another thing that I also have
If you tell me you fucking read Hebrew,
no, I actually want to. Like
Good luck.
Yeah.
It's backwards. You have to. It goes from right to left.
Yes.
And the characters are different. If you can do it.
No, I probably can't.
Okay.
I don't think there's. I don't think there's.
Probably just really phlegmy sounded, isn't it?
Well, but like.
I feel like it's phlegmy.
no vowels.
Like French is pretty phlegmy.
Yeah.
But that the Hebrew symbols have multiple meanings,
Right.
and context, and what's around it can change the meaning from like was to is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that there could be even slight differences that change the entire complexion of a verse, even if it's like in Genesis, in the beginning, if it really should be in a beginning, changes the entire start of Genesis. And I've heard that argument as well. And that's more of, the old earth theory, the biblical old earth theory, like trying to.
Yeah. Or even Adam. Adam in Hebrew means man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why, again, for being a Catholic, our church rests on it's like a stool. So one peg of the stool is sacred scripture. The other peg would be sacred tradition. So actually the church began by Jesus at the Last Supper. So the canon of the Bible isn't even written yet. And so we have the tradition, sacred scripture, and we also have the magisterial teaching of the church. And so we have those three legs so we don't just have one thing like the Bible, which is one of those legs, but we also have the tradition and the teaching authority of the church. And so that's what's neat about being a Catholic is that so then there's questions in the Bible, you have a teaching authority called the magisterium. They can help you understand, those different things in the Bible where there's controversies and things like that. And so that's one thing I appreciate about being a Catholic personally is that we have those three distinct kind of pegs of the stool, if you will, to kind of help us understand different things. So,
I think it might have been Charlie Kirk that actually opened up my eyes even more. Mm-hmm. Because he was talking, when you said that, he was talking about, it says this, and this is the tradition.
Yes.
And this tradition has gone back to zero. Right? So we don't have to use modern interpretation for this when we have it paired with the tradition that's been for 2,000 years.
Right.
And that, that makes sense. Yeah. Charlie Kirk was amazing with that.
No, he was so good. He was so good to listen to.
Yeah.
That was terrible what happened to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy.
But just his understanding, and he embodied the love and truth. Mm-hmm. And I've seen they pull bullshit clips of him out. I have watched so many whole videos to understand context of him having conversations with people that he disagreed with.
Yeah.
And was like, my hope for you is this.
Yeah.
And then nothing was said out of hate and nothing was said out of judgment. It was just said out of truth. I want you to love yourself and not have to be in a different body.
Yep. After Charlie was assassinated, I think about 6 separate young men called me about being interested in the priesthood because they were inspired by his life, by his witness. And so he's not Catholic. Some people were saying that he was interested in it, probably, but he, interested in it in terms of he has an interest in the faith, but he really inspired so many young men. So that was a huge loss for sure. Mm-hmm. It's too bad.
Yeah, he was very good at not judging people with differences.
Well, and that's another thing that I feel like Christians sometimes, forgive me, are pussies. And they just won't say what needs to be said. And you don't have to be mean about it for like what you said earlier. If you have no care truth can be pointed, violent, and mean.
Yeah.
Right. But if you have a care, and that could just be a general care for humanity, not like I don't have to know you personally, that like I have a care, like I'm not trying to hurt you. This is just the truth. Like that comes from a different spot, but I don't feel like people say it. I don't feel like everyone's so freaking scared of hurting someone's feelings.
Well, there's a lot of crappy people out there that think they're very good people.
That is very true.
Like I give Matt a hard time, but you know what? He's probably one of the best people I know, and there's a lot of shitty Christians out there.
Yeah. Matt's a good man.
There's a lot of. I always say you can be a sinner all week and a saint on Sunday.
That's right.
You know, like you have to be like a decent human. Will get you a lot further in life than just if you went to church. Mm-hmm. You know, being a decent person goes a long ways.
My biggest problem with Christianity is churches.
Because you don't like being inside.
I don't like being inside. I just don't like what I feel sometimes is like false preaching. I don't know.
I think it's the monetary thing that bothers a lot of people, which I understand to an extent. You got to run, you got to keep the doors open.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I think monetary things bother people a lot about.
That's probably most of my parishioners' biggest issues are money things. But again,
We have to keep the lights on. We
100%.
have to have plumbing. We have to be able to do these things. And, you know, the church is not, even people say, well, why doesn't the Vatican just sell all these artworks and sell all these things? And then we can feed poor people. And I hear that so many times. I'm like, well, okay.
If that only works for a little bit,
Yeah.
that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. First of all, these are priceless. There's no monetary value to the Sistine Chapel. You couldn't sell it for, it would be impossible. And also, like, don't poor people. Doesn't that point to the truth of God, of creation? Look at the Sistine Chapel. That inspires me. That inspires my faith. Shouldn't that be open to everybody to see that instead of some private person? But again,
Have you
whatever.
have you been to the Vatican?
Yes.
Have you been to the library?
Yes.
Okay, so while you're going to, everybody says it's like a secret deal, but you told me it's open to anybody.
Not secret.
They say they're like secret vaults, but he's told me
Yeah.
before, like you can just go in there.
You have to have a reason. You can't just like.
I can't go there.
You can't go there.
Fuck no.
Yeah, there you go.
God,
And
Yeah.
to my knowledge, you have to know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
so I think that's where the secret part comes in, because I can't just go browse, because I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna check this one out. Give me a stamp. I'll bring it back in 2 weeks.
Fine
This is
free
the
Friday,
Codex
baby.
Vaticanus.
And
That's right, yeah.
and while this may sound offensive, it's not my intention. That's one of my big things.
Don't be offended, but
No, I'm not saying don't be offended. I'm just saying that's not my intention to offend. Like I get pissed about the keeper of information. So like that, it pisses me off with the library, the keeper of information. I believe it's ours. The government keeper of information, all the keepers of information just piss me off. Just in general terms.
Like you feel like they're withholding something from you.
Well, I feel like they think they're better than me, and that we can't handle it. Well, that's not your choice. Like this isn't your information. This is human information, or country information, or citizen information, or world information. It's not your choice whether we have it or not.
I can't speak about the government, but I know for the Vatican that as long as you have your credentials and you want to study a particular thing, that you can petition them, and usually you can get in there and do that.
Now, in the age of technology, do you think they'll ever just like get that all online and accessible to anybody at any time?
Oh, man, I don't know. I doubt it. I think there's a lot of wisdom
Can we get
to
some
like
scanners in there?
having like just real stuff to look at. I think that's.
Oh yeah, I mean as far
You
as
know.
like for you, but for like us commoners.
I don't know, like digital files of the Vatican archives. I would say probably. I don't even know how you would do that. Probably not.
AI, baby.
AI.
Yeah. I will say, like you talked about Sistine Chapel, like we went there a few years ago.
Yes.
And it's phenomenal. Like a human made that.
Yeah.
Dude.
Unbelievable.
Like out of this world.
What's the coolest thing you've seen, like relic or like Sistine, or what do you think is the most impressive thing you've seen?
Man, one day I got to. So Saint John Vianney is He's the patron of parish priests like myself, the Cure de Ars, he's called. Long story short, his heart is incorrupt. And so, again, he lived in the 18th century, and his heart is incorrupt, and they were doing a tour, and I got to celebrate Mass with his incorrupt heart and got to baptize a baby on that same day. I just kind of thought about, like, okay, here's a patron of priests, and his heart's right here. I'm celebrating Mass just like he did.
So just like his heart is
His
sitting
heart,
there?
yeah, his heart is in this like reliquary, it's called, in this golden box, and you can see it. And again, 300-year-old heart that's still intact. Then baptized the baby that day, celebrated Mass just like him, and this kind of was overcome by like just the gift of priesthood and seeing a lot of cool stuff like that. Got to carry St. Padre Pio had gloves. He had the stigmata of our Lord, and I got to carry his bloody glove like through in a procession. That was pretty cool. I've got to do a lot of cool stuff, man.
The stigmata is crazy.
Stigmata is very crazy. Holy people.
The movie's
Holy-
crazy.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that movie. Okay, yeah. I'm talking about the
No, I
five
know,
wounds of our Lord. But yeah.
They're both crazy, but
Yeah.
the movie's crazy too.
Stigmata. Yeah, was that a sci-fi movie like back in the 80s or 90s?
90s.
It was in the 90s, but where
Okay.
she gets a cursed rosary from a church in like South America, and then she starts writing like in Arabic on the wall, like messages from Jesus to his disciples. And she starts getting the wounds of the crucifix.
Interesting.
It's kind of crazy,
That is okay. Yeah.
but it kind of goes. But it's supposedly like there were some scrolls that were found that like the church denies their existence. So that part gets kind of dicey for you probably, but
Yeah.
That's me bringing Tanner.
There's always this intrigue on the Vatican archives. I don't know what to tell people.
Yeah.
I'll tell you once and for all. If you have a reason for being there, you can go. If that clears anything up for people.
Well,
do we have to go with you or will my master credentials
Your
get
master credential, yeah.
clergy? I have a list as clergy.
Call him up. Yeah.
do I email?
Email.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Email.
Is it at .pope? .relig?
Pope Leo 14th. Can I come to the Vatican archive? Signed, Tanner.
Is that like-
that should be fine.
Is it pope at holy church?
Can I CC you on the email?
CC, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Who's this guy?
And you
Don't let him in. Father Ross, what the hell? Man?
and now have you met one of the popes, right?
Yeah, I met Benedict the 16th. That was pretty cool. When I
You
was
have to
studying in
kiss
Rome.
the ring when you meet him or anything, or no?
He was moving pretty quick, and then we sung him a song. And for like 90 years old, he was like, "Can I die?" He's like, "Who's this giant red hair guy?" Oh, my American friends. So yeah, I sung him a song, and that was pretty cool. Yeah, met a lot of the cardinals and things like that. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else? Tanner,
No.
we don't have all fucking day.
I know.
We can't.
I have just said I am done. Sorry. My bad.
What about you? Is this what you expected?
It was an honor being on with you guys, and I appreciate the time, and want to personally thank Brett for all his kindness and hospitality to me over the years, and training in that, and Matt. And Matt got me a smoker for when I left for Christmas, and so I still use that. So Matt and Brett,
Nice.
and Mike, and them guys. So thank you guys. Derek's
Good.
Tanner, it's good to be with
And some people don't know about our arrangement. Like Ross has a lifetime membership at the gym because I'll probably need prayers at some point.
At some point, you're going to need me. That's right.
So he's got a lifetime membership when he's in town, just in case I need something.
That's right. Yeah. Gotcha, brother.
You always need a priest in your back pocket, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. Got to make the call.
Just in case the enemy shows up, they call for the Catholic priest at that point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely.
20 years down the road, Ross, it's me. Time to collect. It's time.
It's time.
Time to pay the piper.
There's nothing
my
for
way.
free in this world, buddy.
Well, we love having you around. It's always good. I wish you were in town more. We
Absolutely.
always had a good time, but I know you're doing your work.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you coming on. It's hopefully we didn't ask you too many crazy. It's just
Perfect.
you're next in kin to God to ask questions too, so I got to figure out what I'm at. And you called me a heretic already, so that's great.
I said that's a Marcion heresy, and I didn't say you were a heretic.
I called you a heretic.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
Thank you, brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you having on, and we appreciate you guys listening. Like, subscribe, share, follow. We'll see you next time.